Talking about crazy. Grimsby 2, United 2 full time. Grimsby won on penalties 12-11. Grimsby won on penalties 12-11. Now, personally, I'm not going to talk much about the penalties because I think the penalties was whatever. I wasn't even celebrating them on the timeline. I was seeing some absolutely shameless people on the timeline celebrating penalties, celebrating scoring the penalties against fucking Grimsby, who play in League 2, by the way, in this country. 4th tier of English football. The 4th tier of English football, and people were celebrating it. I saw players like Bruno Fernandes and others mean mugging the Grimsby fans as they scored. So I'm not going to talk about the penalties. I think the penalties was bullshit. I think even if United would have won on penalties, I still wouldn't have been happy with the result. I'd still be spitting feathers. I'd still be demanding signings. I'd still be cussing out the Glazers. I'd still be cussing out Ineos. I'd still be blaming the fucking manager. I'll still be on the head top if we won on penalties. I'm telling you this now. Man, people know Wagwan when I talk about United. I don't fucking mince my words. And I speak the real. None of this fucking agenda shit. But there needs to be a serious question. A serious conversation about like what's actually going on with this club. Like behind the scenes. Because I'm going to agree with a bunch of people. I'm going to agree with some people out there that say Ruben Amorim is out of his depth. I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to agree with all the people that say Ruben Amorim is out of his depth. The Portuguese league isn't the English league. Even though he won Sport in their first title in Portuguese league after 20 years of a drought, it doesn't fucking matter. The if Sporting came to the Premier League, people are saying Sporting wouldn't be even top 10. Okay, I'm agreeing with you. Ruben Amorim is out of his depth. The Portuguese league isn't that great. His previous achievements aren't that impressive. What he did in the Champions League was a fluke. That's what I'm saying right now, right? That's what I'm saying. So, if that's the truth, right? I would also want to pose this to you. Those people that say it's Ruben Amorim's fault, get Xavi in, get whoever else is hot on the scene in now to manage us. If I agree with you on that front, I would have to push back and say to you, I don't think you need a world-class manager, a top 10 manager, a top 4 manager, a European level manager to get a result at Grimsby away from home. I don't think so. If you're United and you spent 200 million on that attack and you got the players that you've got, I don't think that you need a manager on the bench at all to win that game. I think you could send out the fucking coaching staff. I think whoever Ruben's coaching staff is, Pedro and whoever the people are, right? There's that fat guy, other dudes there, right? Those Portuguese dons. I don't think you need an actual coach on the sidelines to beat Grimsby. All respect intended, you don't need that. With that kind of level of disparity when it comes to professional level of class, you know, I think Grimsby players, some of them have part-time jobs and shit. Like, professional players of Man United standards should be beating Grimsby at a canter. Easily. The fact that they didn't is, for me, the most worrying aspect of it. Because I could sit here and say, we still need, right? I could sit here and say, we still fucking need midfielders. We still need fullbacks. We still need, most likely, like a defensive midfielder, an attacking midfielder. We need fullbacks. I would even go as far as saying that we probably need, if we're going to get rid of Højlund, we probably need another striker to play up front in case Sesko's out of form or injured. We need a new goalkeeper. So we still need four players, let's say. Personally, in my opinion. Let's say minimum 2. 4, minimum 2. With that being said, put that to one side. I still think that team, even with Onana in goal, even with Bayinda in goal, even with Maguire at centre-back, even whatever's going on, Maguire came on late, don't get me wrong, but yeah, you know what I mean. Like, even with those players playing, I still think we should have enough to beat Grimsby. And I'm wondering, why didn't we? And it probably comes down to the attitude of the players that we have, which is why I think, and why I've been screaming from the hilltops, I've been confused as to why we are unable to offload players, because I think we're not giving our managers, and this includes Erik ten Hag, who I hated, this includes Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who I hated, we're not giving them the best chance to succeed, who's Jose Mourinho, because we don't get rid of players, that we don't like clean the decks. Like, when new managers come in, they're meant to be able to clean the fucking decks. They're meant to actually rinse the squad of all the players they don't want and get the players they do want, because it's easier to basically direct, to lead, to instruct, to micromanage players that are new than players that have already been there. Because players that have been there, especially people like Luke Shaw, who have survived like 7 managers, they could comfortably just sit there, fold numbers and say, nah, fuck that, I ain't going to track back. Nah, fuck that, I ain't going to run. Because they know most likely they're going to outlive you. They don't really have the incentive to do so. But if you get new players in, they want to make a name for themselves. They come in because of the coach. They're going to have a different type of motivation when it comes to playing. So I often wonder, do a lot of our managers suffer because we don't necessarily turn over the squad as well as other teams in the league? But again, put that to one side, we still should have enough to beat Grimsby. Now, when it came to the playing on the day, what I noticed straight away was we were losing the individual battles, which is something you hear a lot of. Like, it's kind of like a football cliche, especially in this country. It's something I used to hear in Sunday League. Win your individual battles. Don't let the ball bounce. You know, that kind of shit, right? Down the lines, press. It's an English cliche or footballing cliche, but I think it really applies. When you're losing your individual battles, especially against a League 2 opposition, that's a problem. That's a real problem. I saw Ahmad losing his battles, Fredrickson losing his battles, Dallo losing his battles. I think Maynard was probably our only best player actually playing. A bunch of players losing their individual battles with players across the pitch, and I knew we'd be in trouble. And if anything, it would have been the biggest crime against football if we would have went through. And I actually would have preferred it if Grimsby would have won in normal time and not gone through the whole fucking rigmarole of penalties, because penalties are like a flip of a coin. But it would have been the biggest scumming, the biggest scumbagging, the biggest robbery in football ever if we would have got away with that with a fucking victory and went through to the 3rd round. We didn't deserve it, bro. We did not deserve it. We were so fucking bad across the entire pitch. And I don't even, you shouldn't have to play Cunhas and stuff. You shouldn't have to play those players anyway to get a result at Grimsby. But the fact that we had those players on the pitch and we couldn't do nothing is really interesting. Another thing I find interesting is this. Did you guys notice how little of the ball Benjamin Sesko had? Did you guys notice how little of the ball Benjamin Sesko had? The reason I say this is because all summer, United fans on social media, United fans on YouTube, United fans everywhere have been screaming at the hilltops that our main problem was Højlund. No one really spoke about the midfield. I didn't really hear people scream about the midfield until we got linked to Baleba. Midfield was not a problem. Everyone thought, oh yeah, we got Bruno, right? Fucking dickheads. No one spoke about fullbacks either, even though Dallo's stinking up the fucking place. Nobody spoke about needing a new goalkeeper. Everyone's okay with it. People were saying Højlund was our main problem. It's Højlund's fault. It's Højlund's fault. It's Højlund's fault. Okay. So then we get Benjamin Sesko in. This kid that's been linked to all these big clubs. He's like an Ibrahimovic regen. He scores all these crazy goals. His highlight reel is fucking nuts. But what I'm seeing of Benjamin Sesko play up front, I swear to God, I'm not trying to be mean, but he looks worse than Højlund. The kid looks worse than Rasmus Højlund. I kid you not. He looks worse. Why does he look worse? He's taller, he's bigger, he's obviously stronger, and he cannot do jack shit. I've not seen him once pin a defender back. I've not seen him once dominate a defender in the air. I've not seen him once stretch the back line. I've not seen him once run onto a ball. I've not seen him really attack corners that much. I think he attacked one cross with a header in that game. So that's proved to me is that maybe Benjamin Sesko isn't as good as some of you guys made it out to be. And also, or maybe he's not big of an upgrade. He might be good, but he's not a big of an upgrade that to get. So I would have, personally, if it was me, I would have kept Højlund and put the money somewhere else. Kept Højlund for one more season and spent the money elsewhere. That's what I would have done, because I think you could get away with a Højlund or spreading the goals around the team. You don't need to have a main centre forward. Not in this United team. We're too shit. So, with that being said, what I think is really interesting about Sesko is what I saw with Højlund. As bad as Højlund is, first touch, movement, striker's instincts, I think his finishing ability is pretty high, in my personal opinion, Højlund. But those little fundamentals, that his propensity to fall over all the time, Højlund, the things that people didn't like about Højlund, I think what was surprising to me was people's lack of honesty in terms of chances missed. Because I can't remember many games where Højlund missed a cut in, like a gilt-edged, one-on-one, has to score chance. I can't remember. I think most chances that Højlund got were like scraps, were like ricochets, were like fucking rebounds, whatever they were. But they weren't clear-cut chances. In my opinion, personally, again, I could be wrong, but I don't remember Højlund missing a lot of gilt-edged chances. So it really shocked me when people were saying it as if like Højlund was the main problem, as if we finished 15th because he didn't finish his dinner. I don't think that's true. We finished 15th because collectively, as a team, we are shit. As a team, we don't get the best out of individuals. We don't get the best out of certain positions. We don't progress the ball well enough up the pitch to create chances. Because if you sign a player like Sesko, who's at what, 6'4", right? Maybe 6'4", built like a brick shit house, and you don't ever put the ball down the channel. You don't ever give him through balls. You don't ever whip the ball fast along the ground or crosses in midair so he can diving header into, because allegedly his heading ability is really fucking high, really high level. Then what's he going to do? Sesko's main strength that I've seen is running with the ball towards the box, firing from range. When has he got that? When has he ever had that space at United? When has he ever been in that position? I don't remember. I can't remember the last time he's been able to run through the channels, break through the lines. I can't remember. So Sesko's been made to look really bad in this team because I don't think there's been a plan for him. Personally, I don't think there's been a plan. The club wanted an upgrade from Højlund. They signed the next available upgrade. Don't get me wrong as well. Maybe it's not the club's fault, because I feel like nowadays the striking department, the transfer or what's available is not that high level, personally for me. Like, people are talking about Isaac like he's fucking Thierry Henry. I like Isaac. Don't get me wrong. What's happening with him at Newcastle is unfortunate. I think he kind of shit the bed there. I don't really see a need to kind of force that move out of Newcastle after a year. It's just a bit much for me personally. But I get it. Everyone's got their dreams of playing what they want to play. But people are talking about Isaac like he's Henry. Isaac is all right, but he's not like a world beater. Let's relax. But that's the standard we're at now. Isaac is like the, you know what I mean? He's the bench that people want to hit at the moment, especially in the Premier League. So maybe the club didn't really have many options because, you know, the next tier down is the people like Sesko's. So maybe his price range also doesn't reflect his ability. But the really concerning thing for me is that we're not creating really a lot of chances for him. He's doing a fucking a graveyard shift out there. He's running doggies. He's chasing down shadows. He's getting bullied by League 2 defenders. Like, horror show. Horror show, horror show, horror show. But with all that being said, I need to give a special congratulations to Onana. I need to give a special congratulations to Onana. I don't think I've seen a worse goalkeeper play for United. I don't think I've seen one. I don't think I've seen a worse goalkeeper play for United. Onana might be the worst goalkeeper I've ever seen play for my club. Ever. And the weird thing is, we've got two of them. Bayinda is also pretty useless. So we've got two keepers who are pretty useless after having years and years of really good number twos. Years and years of a very good level when it comes to David De Gea. And now we have two goalkeepers who I don't think any other team in the Premier League will take. I swear to God, I don't think there's a single team in the Premier League that'll take Onana or Bayinda. Maybe Bayinda. Maybe Bayinda. Because Bayinda's got good feet. And he's obviously shown with penalties and shit, he's a good shot stopper. So maybe a team could get something out of Bayinda and be like, hey, we're going to limit the amount of shots you receive. We're going to protect you around corners and shit. And just use you for your strengths, which is ball playing and maybe shot stopping and penalties and shit. But overall, they are some pretty terrible goalkeepers. And as much as people want to blame Amorim, as much as people want to blame the players, the formation, Glazers, Ineos, I look at that game against Grimsby and I think to myself, even that first goal I think is the fault of Ahmad. He loses the ball. Then I think it's the fault of Fredriksson. He doesn't get quick enough out to his man. But I ultimately think it's the fault of Onana. I'm not going to lie. It's the fault of Onana. That Grimsby player finished, I think, near post. And it wasn't like a Rooney near post. Because a Rooney near post finished, if you remember the legendary Rooney near post finish, he kind of like pushes it and gives you the eyes, makes you think he's gonna go for the far post, but then he like quickly cuts it into the near post and he catches the goalkeepers off guard. That kid was not that cute. That kid was not that fucking ingenious. He just aimed it near post and Onana was not prepared. And he does that a lot. I remember seeing somebody say, an old goalkeeper, somebody was analyzing him, and I can't unsee it now. He like dives over balls. Like usually goalkeepers are meant to like dive like at a diagonal level or try and dive like across, like, you know, like kind of like across but down. Onana has this weird thing where he sort of like dives up and down, like in a kind of N shape. So he's kind of diving over the fucking ball. It's a very strange technique. And that obviously, I would imagine, leads to some of the unforced errors. But I think that first goal could be leveled at Onana. Now, again, Ahmad lost the ball, gave up running back. Fredrickson didn't get out to his man well enough. He was already having a stinker. Cool. But then the second goal was all Onana. And I just think to myself, like, what can you do as a team when you know every time the ball goes to your goal, there's a possibility your goalkeeper might shit the bed. And then now you're required to score like 4 goals to win a game. It's not easy, man. It's not easy to do. So as much as I want to blame the players, blame the club, whatever, starting up a season with Onana as your number 1 goalkeeper, or not being sure and having Bayinda and all these guys as your goalkeeping options hasn't helped things. But I still think if you had me in goal, if you had you in goal, you know, whoever, if they had fucking Ahmad playing in goal, I think we should be able to beat Grimsby Town away from home. I'm not going to lie. And the fact that we didn't, I think is a sad indictment of where we are as a club. And I'm not surprised really. I couldn't be too angry about it. It's a shame really, because without Europe, this would be a good trophy to kind of get in the trophy cabinet, maybe build some confidence to kind of be able to win a trophy, because the FA Cup is a much more difficult competition than the fucking League Cup. So that would have been nice to do, especially with all the free time that we have with not being in Europe, but that's not the case. So we're out. Congratulations to Grimsby. Happy Grimsby won. I'm fucking happy and ecstatic Grimsby won, especially after I saw what Bruno was doing, like big timing, me mugging the Grimsby fans. I thought they deserved it. I thought they played fucking really well. The fans were up for it from minute 1. Their players were up for it from minute 1. Grimsby had a player, actually, Josh McEachran. Big up Josh McEachran. I remember him back in the day. He used to play for United's Academy, got released a few years back. Big up Josh McEachran. Really happy that he was able to play the way he played, and obviously put a fucking great performance in there for his team also. And also big up one of the black players as well that missed, but it didn't really matter in the end because they still went through. So big up Grimsby Town. Pissed off for my club, but big up Grimsby Town. Big up Grimsby Town. Now, the really concerning thing about the Grimsby loss was Ruben Amorim's comments after the game. And the comments of Ruben Amorim after the game, to me, sounded like a man that wanted to give up. If you remember correctly, a story came out in The Athletic that said Ruben Amorim wanted to walk from the club, not once but twice, if I'm not mistaken. Once I think he considered it, and the second time I think he actually floated it with the board, and they said no, stay. So I think he wanted to leave 2 times in the 9 months or so he's been at the club. He already wanted to leave because of how badly you were performing and his inability to affect change. And after this particular game, he was really depressed, really down. I think after he wakes up, he will be a little bit annoyed at himself and a little bit ashamed that he, was that defeated, to be honest, because yes, it was a bad result, but really and truly, it's not the end of the world. We're only 3 games into the fucking new season. Yes, we haven't started well, but there's still time to recover this and turn things around. And the fact that he's kind of like throwing his toys out the pram a little bit and, a little bit concerning. But I think when he wakes up and sobers up, he'll be a little bit more pleased. But I think the mood that he's in, I think, again, is more of a reflection on, like, just the disarray the club is in general. Personally, I would say. Courtesy of Sky Sports News. Ruben Amorim said something has to change after Manchester United defeat to Grimsby Town, that it could not be the 22 players again. Man United suffered an embarrassing defeat in the Carabao Cup second round to League 2 club, losing 12-11 on penalties. Having fought back 2-0 down in the last 15 minutes, Amorim repeatedly said afterwards the players spoke very loudly with their performance. And whoever was interviewing him misinterpreted this and thought, oh, what do you mean? Are they not informed? Blah, blah, blah. But to me, when Ruben Amorim says the players spoke really loudly with their performance, I think essentially what he's basically saying was that the players threw him under the bus and they want him gone. Because that's what ends up happening in professional football, right? When players aren't happy with the manager, they usually play, grumpy and with a long face and pretty shit. They end up getting beat as a way to kind of get the manager gone. And it looked like the players did that. I don't personally think that was the case. I personally think he's giving the players too much credit. I think the players just went up for it. I think they just went up for it. They didn't win their personal battles. They didn't sort themselves out on the pitch. Like I said, I don't think you need a coach to coach that game. I'm not going to lie. I think that requires the experienced players on the team, especially after, the first goal can happen. You're playing against a League 2 outfit. Anytime United comes to town, players, they become 10 foot taller. Players put in their best performance they've ever put in because United's badge, history, legacy is, legendary. So players want to put in a good performance. They want to put themselves in a shop window, whatever, pride, whatever it may be, right? So players tend to kind of play out their skins against us. It happens all the time. So maybe the first goal you can excuse for them just being more up for it than you are, being highly wound up. Some of their players have probably been looking at this game since it got fucking announced, whenever it was last year sometime. They've been counting down the days. They came out the blocks flying. So you can excuse the first goal. But what should happen after the first goal is that the experienced players should be like, hey, everyone settle down, take a fucking deep breath, and let's start winning our individual battles. Let's start fucking applying pressure. Let's start getting serious. It shouldn't be up to the coaches. There shouldn't be no sub. There shouldn't be no fucking tactical formation change. The players on that pitch should be able to sort themselves out and be able to address what needs to be addressed to get back to competing with Grimsby. And then, of course, eventually taking advantage and scoring. That didn't happen. That is a really concerning part for me. I don't think it's because they wanted to get Ruben Amorim out. I think because these players are shit stains. Which goes back to what I said previously last season. I was one of the only fans, I feel like, on social media who was very much saying that I think the 15th position last season was more a reflection of the players than the manager. Why? Because I think the players, they threw the towel in. The players didn't have the stomach for the fight. The players didn't have the stomach for the fucking fight. And I think if that's the case, in my personal opinion, I don't know much about football. I'm not an expert. I don't own a club. I'm just a regular guy talking out of his fucking ass. But I honestly think if your players finish 15th in the season and you're a club of the level of United, you have to get rid of those players. Those players are no good. You have to get rid of them. If it means terminating contracts, if it means fucking icing them out, you have to get rid of them because they stink. You can't rehabilitate players that finish 15th for United. You can't. I don't think so. Because if they finish 15th for United and they're still at the club, I get why they don't give a fuck. Because what's going to happen to them? They finish 15th. If you finish 15th, you should be like fearing for your job. Their job wasn't taken away from them. They're still playing for a great club. They still have Man United in their bio. So I think that was a major mistake the club made, was not having a fucking clean sweep and getting rid of a bunch of players and starting again just to send a message. Just to send a message. And that would have definitely made the players play this season with like, okay, cool. I have to be on it because they signed my man and they got rid of him straight away because they finished 15th. That didn't happen. Here we are. Amorim has failed to win any... Now, this for me is the most concerning part. Again, got players aside. Amorim has failed to win any of Manchester United's 3 matches this season, despite signing a front line of Benjamin Sesko, Mateus Cunha, Brian Mbeumo, who all featured in the tie with the pressure growing ahead of the Premier League game against Burnley. Now, the pressure just keeps mounting. Every game, there's more pressure. Now, the game against Burnley is fucking high stakes. When the season started, no one thought it was a big issue. Now, the problem with this is that we probably had to win. We probably had to win those 3 matches by hook or crook. Finishing 15th last season, you have to win your first 3 games. Even if you scumbag them, you have to win. You have no margin for error. You can't even draw. You can't even draw. That's how cutthroat, high pressure, high stakes it is at United. And the fact that we're now sitting here with like 1 loss, 1 draw, a loss in the League Cup, most likely going to get battered by Burnley. It's peak. It's peak. I'm not going to lie. It's fucking peak. I'm shocked, he said, Ruben Amorim. We are in the moment when we make a lot of changes. We try to fight a lot of things. But then when we have these moments, we need to show up. if we don't show up, you can feel something has to change, and you are not going to change 22 players. But I want us to change 11. Okay, we're not going to change 22 players. I get it. But can we change 11? Can we change 10? Is that possible? Can we change 9? Why is United the only club in the world that doesn't seem to be able to get rid of players like Luke Shaw, Mason Mount, Harry Maguire, Bruno Fernandes? Why can't we just get rid of... Why is Rashford still on loan and not sold? Why is Sancho still at the club? Anthony, if you don't want him anymore. Malasha's still there. The bomb squad in general. Like, why can't we get rid of these players and start again? I honestly think one of the things holding back managers at this club is not our transfers. It's the players already there. There's too many bad eggs already there. There's too many people with bad habits already there. They need to be thrown out and fresh players come in so you can create a new environment. You can create a new fucking feel around the club. But the club's not going to do that because the Glazers don't like spending money. Because to sell players, to terminate contracts costs money. And one thing the Glazers don't like doing is wasting money. So they'd rather force the manager to keep playing people like Shaw, keep playing people like Maguire, keep playing people like fucking Mason Mount in the hopes that it turns around because they don't want to sell or ice them out because it means paying them a bunch of money for not doing anything in return. So we're kind of fucked. We are kind of fucking fucked. Andre Onana, making his first appearance this season, was at fault for both Grimsby goals, allowing Charles Vernon 22nd strike to go through him at the near post before missing a punch on the cross which gave Tyrell Warren a tap-in 8 minutes later. By the way, that Tyrell Warren kid for Grimsby is one of Mark Rashford's best friends. That Tyrell Warren kid is one of Marcus Rashford's best friends. And he most likely scored a goal that might spell the end of Ruben Amorim's fucking reign. Football is poetic. But Amorim stressed the goalkeeper was the only issue at Bundell Park. With all due respect, he says, when you play against a 4th division team, he didn't even know their name, bro. When he was doing the interview, you could tell he blanked out their name. He didn't even know their name of the club. I watched the full post-match press conference or like interview on the side of the pitch. When he was saying this comment, he kind of blanked at the name. He didn't even remember the name of the club. That's how low level they are. And they fucking bullied us across the park. Big up Grimsby Town. They bullied us across the fucking park. Bullied us. It's the environment. It's the way we face competition. We know that in the moment we pay attention to everything. It's massive, every detail. We showed that performance today. My players spoke for me really loud. It doesn't matter if we recover from 2-0 down or not. It's the signs the team made during the game, the beginning. Exactly what I was saying in the fucking social media. On Twitter. Follow me on Twitter, by the way. At Agostino Zinga. But I was saying on social, because I saw some fans getting giddy. Overly celebrating fucking Mbeumo's goal. Overly celebrating Harry Maguire's goal. I was like, brother and sisters, we are getting beaten by Grimsby. If we go through, I don't care. This performance is bad. The fact that we have to pull out these Hail Marys, the fact that we have to sub on these players is a fucking L in the first place. Don't celebrate this. This is not something to get giddy about. So I'm happy we lost because those fans are the worst type of fans. Every time we win, there's no problem. When we lose, they want to start talking. Nah, I'm here when we win. I recognize bad things going wrong at this club, even when we're winning. Even when we're putting fucking points on the scoreboard. Even when we're going up in the league table. You can analyze and say, you know what? This isn't sustainable. This doesn't look good. I predict something's going to go wrong in the future. And if you say it, you're a fucking negative person. Have some fun. Relax. Take it easy. Things come in cycles. Nah, bitch. We're in a cycle of failure. That's what we're in. We're in a fucking cycle of failure. As it sees it. Look at that. Look at that. But all that being said about the players, transfers, I partially mentioned what I mentioned about ownership. That win percentage is just unforgivable, isn't it? That win percentage that Ruben Amorim has here of 35.6% is worse than Erik ten Hag, who I absolutely hated. It's worse than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who I absolutely hated. It's worse than Jose Mourinho, who towards the end I absolutely hated. So as much as I like Ruben Amorim, as much as I think he's going to be a successful coach wherever else he goes, that win percentage is unforgivable. 35.6% is crazy. when Ollie and Woodend man were getting 50, 70% and shit. This is diabolical that he has a win percentage of 35%. But again, I have to say, in his defense, which club decides to hire a manager mid-season? I think in November he kind of came into a club, not sign any players for him apart from Dorgu and Heaven, who are not his signings. They're club signings anyway, in January. Knowing full well he plays a very precise style of football, a very precise formation. He needs very precise and specific players. You don't sign the players, but then you get surprised when we end up 15th. That's what I don't get. That's what is still boggling my mind. Yes, you can say shit. Tell me he's a shit manager. Okay. He's not fucking Premier League level. Okay. But the way he coaches, he needs certain players. Why would you pay out his contract? Why would you pay Sporting Lisbon a compensation fee in November? Why would you fire Erik ten Hag mid-season? Get an interim in fucking mid-season in Ruben Listred. Then get rid of him. Then bring Amorim in. All the fanfare about him being the manager and the poet and the Portuguese league and Sporting. All this fucking media shit. And then not give him the players he needs to make us successful. I don't get it. So in a way, he's unforgivable and he has to answer for this. And if he gets fired for this, it's all on him. But at the same token, you're giving him, Aiden Heaven and Patrick Dorgu in January and saying that's enough for you. I don't think so, bro. I don't think so. I personally do not think so. But I could be mistaken. Let's see how it plays out in the future. But it's not looking good, bro. It's not looking good. Me personally, I wouldn't be against us finishing in a relegation zone. Not gonna lie. I wouldn't be against it. I'm all for it, man. Let us finish in a relegation zone. Let us get relegated this season. Let us completely reset as a club and then start again. That might be the only way to save this club, honestly. Because, in my opinion, every time we win something, bootlickers, Glazer apologists, give it time merchants come out and say, see. They only really respond when we're actually failing properly. But I think a lot of people still think last season was a fluke. Or last season was an aberration. So if that's the case, I am hoping at the very least, at the very minimum, we finish outside the top 10 this season. So that those fans who think last season was a complete shock and we're too big to finish 50. Okay, cool. I hope this season we finish outside the top 10 so people can know exactly where we actually we are. Because as a club, that's where we are. That's where we belong to be. And we're not 15th because of Amorim. We're not in that position because of him alone. We're there because of years and years of neglect. Years of mismanaging. Years of spending too much. Years and years of it. And now the chickens are coming home to roost. And you know what I also thought as well, watching that game? I thought to myself, there's been games, right? There's been League Cup games where we've played that exact same way where we went through. There's been League Cup games where we've played that exact same way, but we went through. This particular time, it didn't work. Because you know why? We don't have individual brilliance anymore. It's all gone. Back in there, we had individual brilliance. We could be saved by a Cavani. We could be saved by a Rashford. We could be saved by a fucking Rooney at his pomp. Ronaldo. Rashford. Sancho. Whoever it is. Pogba. We had all these individual moments, brilliance in our team of shit players that could just decide games for us. Now we don't have those caliber of players anymore. Now we are seeing the true United and where we actually are. So I'm happy that this is happening. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy. I'm black pill. When it comes to United, I'm black pill. I want us to fucking suffer. I want us to go down to every fucking league so that we can get rid of these fucking parasites. These Glazers who are fucking destroying my club from the inside out. Because they're the common denominator, personally, I think. I think throughout the years of, degradation and, decay and defeat and sadness and breaking of hearts across the country, across the world, the common denominator has been the Glazer ownership. No one can deny that. The common denominator has been us being owned by the Glazers. So until we get rid of those guys, we're fucked. And my prediction still remains. I think my prediction is, we will never win a major trophy again. Major trophy being the FA Cup, the Champions League, the Premier League. I don't think we'll win a major trophy again with the Glazers as owners. We will never win a major trophy again with the Glazers as owners. The only time we will do that with the Glazers owners is if we somehow get lucky and we find SAF reincarnated. We find a SAF region. I don't know if that's like, imagine if we just get lucky one day and we just stumble across some coach who's fucking coaching fucking Kilmarnock, St. Mirren, who's in a J League, who's managing in a fucking Brazilian league or something. If we happen to find some crazy coach who just happens to be like Sir Alex Ferguson and is able to get the best out of shit players. But unless that happens, we are fucked with the Glazers owners. But that doesn't excuse Amorim, 35.6% win percentage. I think he should be fired for that alone. That doesn't fucking, insulate the players or the fans and their fucking crazy expectations of this club and the signings and the players that played. But Jesus Christ, man. We're in for a rough fucking ride this season. And I hope now, all those fans that used to say United fans are glory hunters, you can't say that anymore. No one can ever say United are glory hunters. United fans, no one can ever accuse United fans of being glory hunters because Jesus Christ, we are going through it, man. We are fucking going through it. And there's not going to be any glory for this club, like, maybe in the next 10 years. Because it's not really up to us, is it? If you think about it. Yes, we're shit, but it's not really up to us whether or not we get back to where we want to get back to, because we're trying to get back where we're getting back to, but other clubs are like pulling away. Your Liverpools, your Arsenals, your Man Cities, your Chelseas, they are pulling away. Newcastle are coming up. Spurs look serious with Thomas Frank there. Bournemouth are becoming the new Wolves and the bogey team. Brighton do bits and pieces. So, yes, we have to figure out ourselves to get back where we think we belong, quote unquote. But the other teams are increasing the gap. They're increasing the fucking gap. Like, how far away are we from the top 6? In terms of quality, in terms of form. Super far away. Let alone the fucking winning the title, competing for the title. So we probably got another 10 years of another rebuild. But some fans online are trying to make you think if we sign Mbappe, if we sign Beleba, suddenly we're finishing fucking top 10. Come on, man. Come on, man. Give your fucking head a wobble, man. Give your fucking head a fucking wobble if you don't mind. Please, 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 please.